Welcome all to yet another video, Dr. R.S. and you, Science of Cosmetics and Personal Care Products. Today we are getting into part 37 and we will discuss about the determination of particle size with reference to cosmetic products. Before going to the particle size techniques, we will get familiarized on certain terms. So particle size, 1 centimeter is equal to 10 to the power of minus 2 meter, 1 millimeter 10 to the power of minus 3 meter, 1 micrometer 10 to the power of minus 6 meter, 1 nanometer 10 to the power of minus 9 meter, and 1 angstrom is 10 to the power of minus 10 meter. Particle shapes, right? It can be spherical, round, acircular, right? It's a smooth, rough, irregular, smooth, angular, irregular, smooth, angular, dendrite. Some of the particle size, how it can be, example. So, why we need the particle size determination, and also some of the characterizing the shapes. It has safety, stability, sensory and quality control. Safety because, for example, if you use some of the irregular particles in a scrub, a cosmetic product, a scrub, it can injure the skin. So in talcum powder, in scrubs, wherever we are using solid particles for scrubbing activity, and so the shape is very, very important, right? If there should be no sharp edges of any insoluble things that we use in cosmetic products, that is the safety. Then stability. You know that particle size, it contributes a lot to the stability and stability predictions and stability studies, right? The changes in the particles size during the stability studies throw light on the long-term stability of the product, and stability, particle size and stability is very well correlated. Sensories, right? Finer the particle size, the greater is the sensory, skin sensories. Rough particles gives not great sensories when you apply the sensory field. And quality control. Quality control is, when you do R&D and standardize on certain parameters, particle size, especially in powders, particle size is very, very important, and it has to be standardized in the initial stage itself, so that batch to batch quality control of the quality check of the batch should be, particle size will be very, very important. So some of the particle size, then there are various methods particle size can be analyzed: optical method, sieving method, sedimentation method, electrical method. Some of the advanced technique, dynamic image analysis, laser diffraction, dynamic light scattering, static image analysis. We will see some of these things, and what I'm going to do is only I'm going to introduce some of these methods. We are not going into the calculation and in depth, because there are a lot of discussions that is happening, and there are a lot of literature on this. So I'm going to just introduce you to the particle size methods, determination of particle size methods, right? The first method we will go is the sieve analysis, right? Sieve analysis, right? For powders, especially for the face powders and the pigments and the talc or the inorganic pigments which we use, titanium dioxide. So all these things, particle size is very important, and sieve analysis gives very good indication on their to control the particle size batch to batch, right? So what is sieve analysis? Sieve analysis is a practice or a procedure used to assess the particle size distribution of a powder material by allowing the material to pass through a series of sieves of progressively smaller mesh size and weighing the amount of material that is stopped by each sieve as a fraction of the whole mass. Very simple, right? What it means is we have series of sieves stacked, right? So the powder is put here and it is vibrated. So here progressively smaller mesh, here the mesh size is higher, the particle size retained here is high, and when you go, this is the finer particle size, right? Finer particle size. So the particle size these are the finer particle size like this, right? So what is retained here? What is the percentage? What is retained here? What is retained here? Now Indian Pharmacopoeia has specified, right? If you say this is the sieve number, this is the micron, right? If it has passed a particular sieve number, right, it is less than that micron. That is why it has passed that sieve number particle size. So this is the typical, it's a 2007 Indian Pharmacopoeia. So these are the sieve numbers. So these are the sieve numbers and the corresponding size, sieve orifice size, no? 4 mm, 2 mm, 1.7, 1.4, 1, 7, 10, 600, 500, 425, 355, 250, 180, 150, 125, 106, 90, 75, 63, 53 and 45. So this is the particle size. So when something passes the 36 mesh, and retained on 44 mesh, it is between 355 to 425. 425 less than 425 but more than 355 micrometer. This is how the by sieve analysis the powders are analyzed. See, this is a typical sieve shaker, right? Where this is the sieve shaker where these are the sieves, right? You stack it and then when you switch on, this oscillates and you can set the timer about 15 minutes. It depends upon your, usually 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, you check the weight of the powder in each of the sieves, and correspondingly you can have the percentage, right? Percentage of that size, right? For example, they say that I need a talc where not more than 2% is retained on 25 mesh, right? Meaning 2% can be 600 micrometer, remaining should be less than that, right? So that is how the specification is given. That is how the sieve, this is the sieve shaker. So for example, See, percentage retained, right, in a particular sieve by percentage total into 100, right? If the percentage in a particular particular sieve is 2 gram, the total weight of the powder was 10 grams into 100, so 20% is that particle size, right? So that is how it is calculated. Then cumulative, percentage cumulative. See, the next step is to find the cumulative percentage of the aggregate retained in each sieve. So first 5 sieves, how much retained, right? If you see that, percentage cumulative passing is equal to 100% minus cumulative retained. So first 5 sieves, 50% is retained. So you can say from first 5 sieves, 50% is retained. So how much passed? The first 100 minus 50 is 50. Right. So this is another way, percentage cumulative passing and the percentage retained. These are the details through which we can get the particle size determined for powders. See, for example, this chart is very, very important, right? Sieve number and the corresponding particle size. This is sieve analysis. So based on the sieve analysis, powders are classified, IP 2007, right? In Indian Pharmacopoeia 2007, they have defined powder based on the particle size. Coarse powder, right? A powder, all of the particles of which pass through sieve with nominal mesh aperture of 1700 micrometer. It should pass, and not more than 40% by weight through a sieve with nominal mesh aperture size of 355. This is coarse powder, right? See, not more than 40%, right, through this sieve. But this aperture, all particles should pass through this aperture, and only not more than 40% should pass through 355 micrometer aperture, right? Same way, moderately coarse powder 710 and 250, moderately fine 355 180, fine powder, a powder, all the particles should pass through this mesh, and not more than 40 should pass through this mesh. So 40% should pass through. Very fine and microfine and super fine. So this is what the Indian Pharmacopoeia has given, and this is the particle size. The very traditional method using sieve, very simple for talcum powders. There are sieve shakers available in the market, which is and it's a simple, straightforward method of determining the particle size. The second method is sedimentation method. Okay, sedimentation method generally used for lotions, when there are suspended particles, liquid makeups, but in cosmetic industry it's very rarely used, but it's a good technique where if you have the suspensions, big calamine lotion and the liquid makeups. So gravitational sedimentation measures the settling rate of the particles in a liquid medium and relates this ratio to the particle mass by use of Stokes' law. The particle mass is determined by density and particle size. For example, no, you have a suspension, right? So it has particles. So it has particles, right? So now heavier particles settle heavier, or bigger particle size, right? Bigger particle size here, and then smaller, smaller, smaller. So you maintain this bath in a certain temperature, maintain it for some time, okay? Then you take samples. There is a pipette traditionally used, and Andreessen pipette, right? So that is used where you draw samples from various zones. No, dry it and weigh by mass, right? Dry it and weigh. See, Stokes law. Stokes law is generally applied. So, and the principle is based on the Stokes law. What is Stokes law? Velocity of sedimentation is equal to 2r square, radius of the dispersed phase. Radius of the dispersed phase. If calamine is dispersed in water, calamine lotion, no, that is dispersed phase. So rho s is the density of the dispersed phase, rho 0 is the density of the dispersion medium, acceleration due to gravity, 9 eta viscosity. Eta is the viscosity of the dispersion medium in poise, right? So now if you convert it into diameter from radius, the equation slightly changes like this. So from this equation, d is derived, okay? Diameter is derived of the particle. So in a traditional method, right, the various using a pipette from various zones, the liquid is taken, dried and evaluated, right? So currently the settling rate during sedimentation analysis is determined by X-ray transmission in the liquid at specific heights and time intervals, and particle size distribution based on difference in mass is calculated. This allows high resolution measurements within a relatively short time frame. So now advanced methods have come by X-ray transmission, right? X-ray transmission, they can measure the particle size of each zone, right? So the sedimentation rate can be, the particle size can be determined by sedimentation, right? So this is one technique, which is the other technique is microscopy, using a microscope, right? The other technique is microscopy, where particles by microscopy, what happens? This method is suitable for counting and characterizing particles of 1 micrometer and greater. With increased resolving power of the microscope, particles smaller than 1 micrometer can be detected and characterized. Although alternative techniques are available, the method is particularly useful for characterizing particles that are not spherical, right? But this procedure is very lengthy. It requires calibration of the ocular micrometer, eyepiece, and stage micrometer, where you put the sample, right? Individual particles can be analyzed and can distinguish aggregates from single particle. This is the advantage, right? But it's a lengthy procedure, it takes a lot of time. But when coupled with image analysis, computer, each field can be examined and distribution can be obtained. Traditionally what you do, you calibrate the eyepiece, ocular micrometer and stage micrometer because the distance, right? You calibrate that, and then in the view, no, you have that scale. So in moving that scale, you have to measure the size manually, right? Now the image analyzers are in the market, integrating traditional microscopy and advanced image processing technology consisting of an optical microscope, CCD camera and all those things. So what happens by these techniques, you can directly get the image in the computer, right? And then you can analyze this. See, for this particular thing, this is the particle size distribution. You can see the particle shape and you can analyze the size of the particles using this image, right? So from a manual measurement of the size, now with the image analyzer, you can take the thing in the computer and using a software you can get the particle size done, right? Now the other technique for emulsions and where the particle size is little finer, right? There is a method called dynamic light scattering technique. This is widely used for creams and emulsions. Dynamic light scattering works very well. See, particle size can be determined by measuring the random changes in the intensity of intensity of light scattered from a suspension or a solution. This technique is commonly known as dynamic light scattering technique, right? So what we do in dynamic light scattering technique, one of the most popular, it's one of the most light scattering techniques because it allows particle sizing down to 1 nanometer diameter. It can measure very low particle size. Typical applications are emulsions, micelles, polymers, proteins, nanoparticles and colloids. See, the sample is illuminated by a laser beam and the fluctuation of the scattered light are detected at a known scattering angle theta by a fast photon detector. So dynamic light scattering techniques, through that you can get two data. You can get the zeta potential of the particles which we saw, and we can get the particle size also. What is happening is laser beam, you see, laser beam is passed through the sample and the dispersed particles scatter the laser beam and that is measured. So we will see a pictorial representation of what is happening during the measurement. This is the depiction of dynamic light scattering technique of evaluation of both particle size distribution and the zeta potential. This is a laser and this is a splitter, and this is the sample where you can see the Tyndall's effect, right? So these are the lenses. It collects the data and send it to the correlator which gives the data, right? let's see, photon detectors, and this is how the dynamic light scattering technique works on finding the particle size. Right? It's a very good depiction, very easy to understand. Right? The whatever scattering happens, that is detected. Right? That is the dynamic light scattering techniques, and this is widely used now. Right? And there are other similar techniques which I would like to tell you. Of course, the image analysis. So, image analysis, the particle size is it can be the 10 power 2, 10 power 4 microns, 10 to 10 power 4 microns. There is a thing called laser diffraction, that is also widely used. Laser diffraction is similar, but this is used for particle size of 10 point minus 2 and see, for example, there are sunscreen titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, right? So it's in 50 micron range, right? 50 to 100 micron range. So that can be measured by laser diffraction. So laser diffraction can measure sunscreen grade zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, right? So that is laser diffraction. And the thing, dynamic light scattering, right? This is very thing for nano emulsions and for fine emulsion systems. Dynamic light scattering, the advantage is you get the zeta potential and the particle size also, right? So these are all the latest techniques which the equipments are little expensive, but once you have it, like the rheometer which we discussed, this throws lot of data. So generally particle size is shown as particle size distribution, right? Because in a system all particles can't be of the same size, right? So basically it shows the distribution of particles, so in a certain range, in a certain volume. So now if the particle size distribution like this is much more preferable than particle size distribution like this, right? Because a very narrow range of particle size distribution shows the quality of the product actually. So if it is wide range, then it is there can be see, for example, if it is an emulsion, right, a narrow range, it's very important. But if it is a mixture of powders, for a face powder or where there can be different size particles, right? Iron oxide can be certain fine, talc will be very fine, so there might be some distribution like this. But for an emulsion system, a distribution like this is not acceptable. It has to be like this, where the particle sizes are uniform. We require uniform particle size as far as possible, right? The particle size distribution, right? This is what I would like to discuss with you. So sieve analysis. is widely used, no? Widely used in. Then we can use the image analyzer, no? Image analyzers for various things, no? You can capture the particles on the computer and analyze, right? This can be applied for the optical method, and also for optical method it's very useful. Then for the sedimentation, no, the sedimentation, the lotions, no, that are suspensions, that are suspensions. This might help very well, sedimentation. And the laser techniques, no, these has become the latest as of today on particle size measurements, which you can get particle size distribution part, then the zeta potential values. So laser techniques are the latest in the field of particle size analysis. So if you could get the laser techniques for research, right, and it can be used during product development and sieve analysis. Okay, sieve analysis and laser techniques can go very well for cosmetic product type of formulations for determining particle size, right? Of course, this is what I would like to share with you today, the background on the particle size analysis. So I will get connected with you in the next session. Till then, bye.